for growmybag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? So I also hope that you had a great holiday if you celebrate that kind of thing. Hey, Paula. I hope all is well with you and yours. Really, really do. Let's see. No, I'm just getting my notes in line. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. It has been, I would say, not all that eventful, right? We've got attacks in Venezuela. We've got on-ground attacks in Nigeria. We've got more hits due to tariffs here in the United States. We have small business impact, very little big business impact. So I'm okay. It's a little bit more than just, a boring day or a boring couple of days. So when I look at everything, and it could just be me, I can see the downfall of small business in the United States. A lot of people are going to come at me over that statement. The truth is that I do see the downfall of small business in the United States. Why? Because there's a concerted freaking effort to bring down small business in the United States. Excuse me, the companies that bankroll everything, right? The only companies left that actually believe they've got customers and not consumers. And some people might be sitting there asking the somewhat obvious question, well, what's the difference? And there is the problem. Right there. Right there is the problem. A customer is somebody you value. A customer is somebody that you do not want to lose. A customer is somebody that you respect. A customer is somebody that gives you a reason to be in business. A consumer, and I've said this many times, a consumer is just somebody to be studied. Good morning, Fatima, Grand Risings. And thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself. Paula, you too. Sorry I didn't mention that before. But I want you to think about this. We spend a lot of time figuring out how long people will be annoyed at dealing with a chatbot and just how long we can wait before we get a human being involved in that. I'm going to call it what it is, that confrontation, not customer contact, because you're not a customer anymore. At that point, it is a confrontation. You've got somebody that's pissed off, that's trying to reach out for help, and you gave them a chat bot. Unless that's what I wanted, because I don't want to deal with humans, which there are a lot of people out there that do that, I'm probably pissed off. And I'm probably pissed off after I came in contact with your don't talk to a human stance, right? You want to figure out how long can I keep you on there? How long? How long before you get totally annoyed and just hang up and then I don't have to deal with you at all? Because you don't care if I go someplace else. You don't care if I go to another store. Go to the grocery store. Pick up 5 different bottles of dishwashing liquid. Look at who owns each one of those companies, and you'll probably find one company. These are facts. These are not opinions. Everybody knows it. Go to the store and look at who owns what, just in the grocery store. Now, imagine that all the way out there. I told you about how big business is going out there and not just buying up the neighborhood in terms of single-family home real estate, but other real estate as well, obviously, but also buying up the small businesses that support that neighborhood. The HVACs, the plumbers, the electricians, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they're doing that too. And what are they also doing? Oh, they're paying for the person's name, the person who used to own that small business that they cut the big fat check to, so that they can still keep the perception alive that that person still owns the business, or somebody from that family still owns the business. Further perpetrating the somewhat legal fraud. Yeah, the name's the same, but there's nothing illegal about that. Perception is reality, right? So if I keep that family name on there, that's what's up, isn't it? Because these people got a big fat check and they walk away. Oh, I don't care anymore. I'm going to go live my life. We'll have that conversation in a minute. But you go live your life, and what happens? You get there and you realize, wow, life is still expensive. I may not have enough money to last me $50,000 a year on average to actually retire right now, and that number continues to rise. Just letting you know. Just putting that out there for you. So we've got issues. We've got issues. We probably have more issues than we have tissues, but still, we've got problems. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. And then you start to go, wow, these companies don't care about the customer. They care about the consumer. So what are they doing? They're buying all these businesses to give you a perception that whoever owned it before still owns it and blah, blah, blah. When you get your 3 quotes, that it's actually going to be 3 quotes. It's not. It's 1 quote from the same company with a couple of numbers changed, and then you choose which subsidiary of that company you're going to work with. Gigantic scam in a lot of places. I'm not saying it's prevalent everywhere, but in a lot of places, that's what it is. So at that point, who are you dealing with? You're dealing with somebody that has used you as a consumer to study you so that they know what to do to make you think you're dealing with the same company. You're no longer a customer. They don't care about you. You call this guy, you call that guy, you call this guy, you call that guy. They don't care about you. And even if you find out that the person whose name is still on the business, doesn't own it anymore, they're not going to care then either. Because at that point, they own everything. They own you. You can't go anyplace else. By the time you find another company that can perform those services for you, you're outside of that travel area that people are willing to do. You're cooked. That whole area is now controlled by that company. They can raise prices. They can lower prices. They can do whatever they want. They've got that monopoly around that area. In some areas, they work together. 3 companies control all of that. 3. Wow, 3. Where there used to be like 30. This is how it's playing out. So when you guys look at me and I say to you for the 50 bazillionth time, as if that's a number, just saying, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. When I say that to you, it's because I know you are nobody's customer. For the most part. If you walk into the local beauty salon, you're a customer. If you walk into the local grocery store, you're a customer. But if you walk into almost any other store, you're not a customer. You're a thing to be studied. You're a data point. Walk into some of these stores like, I don't know, Best Buy, Home Depot. They've got cameras all over the place to track what you're looking at. Some stores have them there so that they can set new pricing just for you. Yeah, you're special. We know that you live in a good neighborhood, and we're going to raise the price. Yay. I want you to stop and think about that. Dynamic consumer pricing. Consumer pricing. Don't allow them to take the word customer and have you start thinking that customer is the same thing as consumer. It's not the same. The only thing that's the same is money is coming out of those pockets one way or another. Facts. So again, when I get up every day and I tell you guys, hey, look, listen, I need you to do your own research. I need you to wake up every day and go, you know what? I got to keep, put my nose in the news because I need to know what's going on, because I need to invest, because if I'm going to be a data point you're going to be my data point, right? I want to look at each one of those companies and pass judgment. I don't want to just walk over to this company and give them my money for the poor customer service that they have. Stitches making sure I do a good job. He's playing with his new Christmas toy. And so I want to invest in companies, and I want to make sure that I vote. If I know I'm going to be holding this stock for a while, I want to make sure that I vote. You know how many people own stock and don't vote? They let some other company vote for them, and that other company might not be voting for their best interests. They let some other company vote. That's right. Oh, it's too much work to vote. That's the whole point of being a stockholder. The fact that you do have a voice. The fact that you can do something. But you can't do jack if you're not educated on what these companies are doing, what these projects are doing. Keep your nose in the news, folks. Keep your nose in the news. XRP Labs integrated post-quantum cryptography and native smart contracts into AlphaNet, positioning the XRP ledger as a pioneer in crypto-resistant blockchain technology ahead of Q-Day. Q-Day meaning the day that quantum launches. Whatever. And people probably sitting there going, why is he saying whatever? Quantum is going to be a big deal. Maybe. Why do I say that? Well, because quantum computing is not the same as 2 + 2 = 4. It's not a straight thing. It's a different kind of math, and it may or may not affect crypto. Facts. Does crypto need to get stronger in its cryptography anyway? Yes. Because as time goes on, sooner or later, somebody's going to figure it out. So yes, things do have to get better. But that's not to say that quantum technology is going to be the thing that breaks, crypto. Don't know yet. The fear is that it can and will. But some of the people in the space are kind of like, it might. And that might is good enough to make people say, well, we should probably gird for that. That's what I'm listening for. I'm listening to forward-thinking people that are saying it might, therefore we should look into this. Aha. Those are the ones. People are kind of like, what are you talking about? Those are the ones that are thinking forward. Those are the ones that are thinking about what can this blockchain do. Those are the ones that are thinking about how can we integrate. Those are the ones that are thinking about who should we be partnering with. Those are going to be the ones that survive, in my humble opinion. And why do I have that humble opinion? The great convergence and great culling. What does that mean? You are going to have different projects start working together and then start working together to a point where one of those projects just falls off and everybody's just on this project. Why is that? Because if you're doing the same thing, there's no reason to have two in the same exact space, doing the same exact thing. Why do I need both of you? There should just be one. And eventually there will be only one. That's not to say that you can't have competitors, but when you have two projects that are working together toward a common goal, you have one project. You just have a naming problem. Yeah. That's the convergence. The culling is when you start to see everybody fall off. This project, that project, that project, this project, and those people just fall off. Those projects just fall off. We don't need them anymore. Those people move on to other projects. So those people, I'm listening for the names. I'm looking at the resumes. Where did you come from that you're working on this now? What did you do? How well did you do it? Did it fail? Did it succeed? That's what I'm looking for. Sorry, but sometimes Stitchy wants to play. Come here. Come here. No? Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear him in the background, but he loves to jump on my couch. So I literally throw the toy on my couch and he goes running around this side and he goes and dives across the couch. He loves that. So when you look at the great convergence and you look at the great culling, you're talking about mergers over here and you're talking about failures over here. It doesn't matter that you had success for a long time and then you wound down. Sure, still a failure. You're out of business. Still a failure. There is such a thing as a good failure. Don't get me wrong. But a failure nonetheless. Good failure is when you learn from that failure. Hey, we had great success. Other things came along and outshined us. Other things came along and had better tech. Other things came along and blah, 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 blah. Not a problem. But when you turn around and you look at those people that were there, they've got knowledge and experience that they're going to carry forward. I want to know where they land. I want to know where they land. There will be new projects. There will be new businesses. There will be new this, new that. I want to know where these people land because if they get, like I said, if they did a good job there, they're going to do a good job someplace else and create new success stories. When I look at the news, when I read the news, I'm not just looking at, the headline. I'm taking a look at that article. What's going on? How did it happen? XRPL, Q-Day preparation. Okay, I'm paying attention to that. Tight team, like to see what's going on there. Just saying. Then you have news like global oil prices fell sharply on December 26 amid geopolitical tensions following former U.S. President Trump's claim, or current, it says former, but it meant current, right? Claim of a U.S. strike in Nigeria targeting whoever he wants to target. That's a problem. That is going to be a global economic problem. Notice how the story led off with oil prices fell due to geopolitical tensions around the world. That's a problem. United States getting in the way of Venezuela shipping oil. Who buys Venezuelan oil to a certain extent? China. Sometimes you have to watch political moves because they have economic impacts. And in some cases, they can be treacherous impacts. Treacherous, impacts are things like we hit Venezuela to block their oil. That oil was meant to go to, let's say, China. China gets upset because they were counting on that oil. They've now got to find other places to get oil, or they can defend or help to defend Venezuela. Yeah. Geopolitical tensions brought on for no reason. These are the things that we think about, or that I think about. And I play that forward against, my portfolio. What else am I looking at? All that other good stuff to see what kind of impact is that going to have. The market could have been up a lot more today. But we got news that we hit Venezuela. We hit Nigeria. On the ground. Yeah. Not that we sent troops in, but that we made things blow up. Known places. That's cool. You know these places. It's not your country. It's not your country. That could have a global impact on us in massive ways. The things that we think are going to have little impact would wind up having larger impact. We think Venezuela is this tiny little country that can't do anything. They've got big friends that can do stuff. Russia can talk a lot of nonsense, but Russia's very stretched, aren't they? Currently, they are very stretched. I don't know that they can provide that much assistance to Venezuela. Some assistance, most likely, but a lot, doubtful. And then there's China. That's a big fat question mark right there. That could have an economic impact. All wars, all conflicts have an economic impact. And here we are bragging about what we've done around the world. This might not bode well. Japan's equity market surged 23% in 2025, led by PM Takaichi, I think that's how you pronounce it. I hate messing up people's names. Sanai's fiscal policies and AI regulations, with the Topics Index outperforming S&P for the first time since 2022. Interesting. Mind you, let's not forget Japan holds a lot of U.S. debt, and they have been dumping. Not dumping, selling. Right? Because they're not trying to hurt anybody. They just have their own economic problems, and it pushes them to do things that otherwise they might not have decided to do. But everybody is having a bit of a problem economically. Like I said, there are very few economies around the world that are doing well, doing fine, doing A-OK. Japan's not one of them. Japan, United States, China, Russia, even India is having problems. Brazil is not 100. You know what I mean? Wow. Cincinnati chimney sweep. Thank you so much for that. Thank you very, very much. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And it has been a Merry Christmas. Where did he disappear to? Stitch just up and poof. He doesn't care when he wants to play fetch. He does not care. I can be on camera or whatever. He does not give a rat's behind. He's like, you will play with me. But he went upstairs. I guess one of the kids is up. He went upstairs to go mess with the kids. But yeah, you start looking at these tiny little things and you start to realize, holy moly, I think in 2026, we're going to realize even more of an issue at the global economic level than most people think. I was watching television today and I came across a great graphic. I'm gonna read to you what we expect is going to happen in that's happened already in 2025. Microsoft 15,000, Amazon 14,000, Salesforce 4,000, Applied Materials 1,400 plus, Meta 600 plus. Those are big tech names that had layoffs. And you want to know what analysts are saying now? Now they're saying the same thing that I said, that I've been saying. Now the experts are chiming in. I think that's funny. What they're chiming in and they're saying is, well, guess what? Let's look at this AI thing. Large companies can say that they're laying people off because of AI, and if they make an AI mistake, it doesn't matter because they're sitting on so much money. They're sitting on so much money that they can make an AI mistake and recover. They just call those people back that they got rid of that, lost their jobs because of AI. That's not really what's happening. What those people are also saying is that companies are getting rid of people under the guise of AI and efficiency to get rid of people at one salary range to open those jobs back up at a lower salary range. It's a reset. It's a reset. And you know what they're expecting from this reset? More profit. It sounds crazy, but I can get rid of 10 people at 100,000. Let's make it easier. I can get rid of 20 people at 100,000, hire them back for 50,000. Yes, those are extreme numbers, but still, just hear me out. And bring them back at 50,000. I just saved $1 million. And if I can repeat that going forward, how much money am I gonna save? Some of these companies have large numbers of people where they can realize millions of dollars per year because of that. The whole idea of this efficiency gain because of AI is such BS because AI can't really do a lot. It can do a lot, but not do a lot. So AI can take away certain tasks from a role, those repetitive tasks. It can take away those tasks, but that role can now be freed up to do other things. I've only heard one company actually say that out loud. One company say it out loud and say that would increase our capacity to do more, to make more with those same people. Wow. I've only heard one company say that, with the realization that, yes, we will be laying off some people. For the bulk of it, be able to take those people and have them do other things that will increase our capacity, that will leverage the increase of capacity so that we make more money. I've only heard one company say that. Nobody else has said that. It was Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, who's known to wipe away the bottom 10%. They cull every freaking year. You suck, you go away. And they're thinking AI is going to change a lot. But that frees up our people. I think Goldman Sachs is one of those companies that's actually thinking about how AI can be implemented at, strategic levels and strategic ways. Because AI still hallucinates. And I don't care what these people tell you. AI has already consumed everything that we've ever done. AI is now creating content that it's also now consuming. It's now eating its own tail. Yeah. Because every year we create new content, but how long does it take to learn that new content? And then we're done. It's eating its own tail. It's now creating. That's how that works. Just saying. So when I sit there and I listen to this and I watch this and I just pay attention to all this nonsense, doesn't that strike you as peculiar? It strikes me as peculiar. But as we enter 2026, this is what we're faced with. And we have lost 1.1 million jobs already, right? And we're going into the new year expecting to lose more. And then you have inflation. Lower interest rates, higher inflation. Just saying. And you're going to have higher inflation in an environment where people are going to make less money. You see it coming. This is what people should be paying attention to. This is what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. This is not a small deal. It's a big deal. And I wish more people would actually get it straight. Really, really should, right? Binance confirmed the Trust Wallet browser was actually hacked. Funds were SAFU, S-A-F-U. What does that mean again? Let me get that straight. SAFU. Yeah, secure asset fund for users, okay? Which is good, I guess. After a $7 million hack, meaning they're not worried about, they have the funds to actually cover that. Because, in case you didn't know, Binance owns Trust Wallet. And was a hack of the Chrome browser extension. $7 million worth of a hack. No joke. PeckShield reported that stolen funds increased to 7 million, 6 million, around there, moving to exchanges like Change Now and KuCoin. Meaning they snatch the funds from here, move the funds over there, and they can see it. Now the question is, how fast can everybody react to freeze or lock those funds and then get it back to their rightful owners? Now, the people on Binance are not worried because Binance has reserves. They can take care of that. Smooth sailing. Not a problem. But it's the fact that it got hacked that people are kind of like, well, what the heck? So they want to know what's going on. So I will be paying attention to what the forensics is, forensics when they come back. Something else that kind of dropped my jaw. Apparently, Russia proposed a joint venture between the U.S. and Russia on the management of Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant for Bitcoin mining, and they just started speaking about it this month. I want you to stop and think about something. So we're supposed to be sitting on one side of the fence and Russia on the other side of the fence with regard to, right, the war in Ukraine. And then we're also sitting on the opposite side of the fence from Russia when it comes to Venezuela. And we're really going to sit down and contemplate going into business with them for Bitcoin? Are you kidding me? Does anything make sense to you? That we're discussing a partnership with a country that we're supposedly at odds with over, their involvement, their causing of a war in another sovereign state. Yeah. Just saying, it's a problem. Lithuania has enforced strict MiCA regulations, and they'll kick in January 1st, targeting unlicensed crypto firms with fines. Listen, I love the idea of all these countries coming out and saying, if you're not licensed, you can't do business. That should be baseline. That really should be baseline. Right? Except for one thing. You have to understand that country's compliance issues. And if compliance is, you have to give us a boatload of money. Huh? Listen, I don't have to be in your country to make money from your country. Like, stop and think about it. I do not have to be in your country to make money from your country. You'll make your people leave the country digitally to do business elsewhere. I don't know if you guys caught it, but there's that whole thing with, rich people in China trying to get their money out of the country because they can only move $50,000 a year, the equivalent of $50,000 a year out of the country. So you've got people that are loaded who, for example, who've got kids that have come to the United States to go to college or whatever, and they want to buy them a nice place to live, blah, 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 yada, yada. And let's take Manhattan. You want to buy them an apartment that costs a couple of $1 million. You've got the money. You can more than afford it. But you can't get the money out of the country to be able to handle it. Enter in drug cartels. They need to launder. You need money. Cartel money goes to buy real estate on behalf of, and you send them back the goods. There's like this whole big thing that happens. And it's not to say that the people in China are illegal. They're going through illegal brokers. But it's not to say that their daily lives are, doing illicit transactions and things like that. It's just that in this case, they know they've got the money. They could more than afford to do something. But I can only do it in country. And you know what? They're going to do that thing. And let's not look at cartels alone. Let's look at cartels, any kind of nefarious characters, nefarious organizations around the world. They've all had massive, massive, massive financial operations on a global scale. These are facts, not opinion. There are documentaries about how the mob laundered money through places that you would never suspect, including the Vatican. I need you to stop and think about things. The global economic marketplace has a lot of players in it, right? Of which you are one. About this big. Just like me, about this big. People will find a way to do what they're going to do. So if you're a country that's coming out and you're saying that you need to be licensed in the country, sure. But if you're putting a burden on your people will find a way. That's my point. That's literally my point. Wintermute founder, Evgeny Gavoy. Oh man, I know I killed that name. Holy moly, I'm so sorry. Let's just say Wintermute's founder voted against an Aave governance proposal due to tensions over value distribution and unclear details, highlighting growing friction within Aave Labs. I love Aave. I'm a big bag holder of Aave. But this is not going so well, and it got voted down. Nobody liked the idea. It got voted down. Done. Voted. Decentralized. Voices, not voice. That's what I like about it. The community didn't like it. The community shut down the idea. Done. That's what's up. I want to hear about that. I didn't like the idea either, but I want you to think about this. The community said, yeah, no, we don't like that idea. Go away with that. The community said that. That's the part that I love. Even if the community said, yeah, we like that idea, I wouldn't have I don't like the idea that they brought forward. But it could have gone that the community as a whole likes the idea and they implement the idea, moving on. That's the way it's supposed to work. Everybody has a voice. It's not a small thing. Uniswap's governance approval or approved the unification proposal with 99.9% support. Again, voted. The community had a voice. Lugano, Switzerland. Do you know that in Lugano, Switzerland, you can actually pay for things with Bitcoin and Tether almost everywhere? Yeah. Lugano, Switzerland is also one of those places that, their economy doesn't have a problem. But that is a nice city hosting 4,000 attendees at this conference, at its 2025 forum, and issuing digital bonds on the Swiss Stock Exchange, or SDX is what they put it on. Forward thinking. Accepting Bitcoin and Tether as payment. Wow. And you wonder where the world is going. Every time I look at countries trying to step on, digital assets and have people go, oh, digital assets aren't going anywhere. Digital assets aren't doing anything. It's never going to replace anything. Blah, 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 blah. Yakety schmackety. I get my giggle on. Those are people that are not thinking forward. Those are people that are not thinking forward and not actually putting thought process behind everything that's going on. I keep telling people there's too much infrastructure out there. That infrastructure is actually starting to be used. And you should be keying in on those things, capturing those moments. Just saying. So to me, it's a very big deal, right? Something that's still going on is countries have still not figured out what digital assets mean, how that's going to affect fiat. So you've got countries like Lithuania that are buying into MiCA. You've got other countries that are doing their own thing with regard to regulation. But I've yet to hear and see what are they doing about that impact on, digital assets versus fiat. Like, what does that mean? What's that impact? How do we live in a world that is transitioning from only fiat payments to fiat and digital assets? When do you think that's going to move over to just digital assets? I don't trust your fiat anymore. Yeah. That's when you start to sit there and you can start to go, oh, that's a no bueno situation. Wow. So like I said, I think there comes a point where we need to start to realize that things are changing, and we need to start paying attention to what things are changing, meaning what infrastructure is there, how the infrastructure is being implemented and leveraged, and then how are people, us, moving into that new world? Some of us are going to be brought into that new world and not even realize that it's there. How many of you, at least in the United States, maybe other countries as well, use debit cards? Because they don't want to charge things, so they use their debit card as sort of like this cash thing. Well, you're not that far away from crypto, right? Because how many people actually reach inside their pocket and pull out dollars and cents? Not that many. Not that many at all. Which is why the United States is thinking, okay, we can get rid of the penny and it won't have that much of an impact because everybody's using freaking debit cards and credit cards now anyway. We're going from a paper fiat society to a digital society. And if you're already becoming a digital society, how far away are you from being a digital asset society? If I have no faith in your fiat, like, I'm not trying to hold US bonds. Have you lost your mind? If I have no faith in your fiat, then what am I going to turn to? The renminbi? No. The rupee? No. The ruble? No. The euro? No. So you start to realize, holy moly, we are moving toward a world where digital assets are really on the uptick. Now, you don't see it that much because we're kind of like right here. But you'll pay attention when that changes to this. Give it a little bit more time and it went from this to this. Yeah. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. A 35-year-old Arizona woman was convicted of embezzling $655,000 from Wells Fargo by exploiting ATM and vault access through small transaction splits. Somebody on the inside got caught, by the way, but not until after they snatched that $655,000. And I wonder how much of that money they're actually going to wind up recovering. Not much. And remember how I keep talking about meme coins? And how meme coins, came and they've basically gone. Meme coins dropped 65% this year. 65%. And then people are wondering, how do I look at meme coins and then look at how that happened and look at, stable coins? How many stable coins do you need that all do the same thing? With a lot of them running on top of Ethereum. See where I'm going? What do you bring to the table that's different? Oh, you have a captive audience. That's cute. And maybe you'll only let that audience leverage your stablecoin. I could see PayPal doing that. I could see Stripe doing that. I could see a couple of instances. I could see Klarna doing that. I could see a couple of instances where you have a captive audience and that's how money's going to transfer. I could absolutely see that. You've got companies now that do cash payments. They take that cash from over here. They need to move it over here. They'll slap it onto the Bitcoin or whatever network, gets there in seconds, and then they flip it back to fiat. Boom, here you go. Transactions, instead of taking hours or days, take seconds or minutes. Do your own research. Know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Dig deeper than a freaking headline. Don't pay attention to the headline. It's clickbait. Even I use clickbait. It's what's underneath. And yeah, we've got a lot. 13,000 articles and counting. Just go to growmybag.tv and you'll see a whole bunch of articles. Become a member and you'll see articles. You have access to a feed where people can have conversations just like any other social media platform. We're doing big things at Grow My Bag. We're building out a community. You know what? You want to hear something crazy? This is one of the reasons why I love this community. I made a statement to get people to think. And somebody disagreed with the statement. But instead of disagreeing with the statement, they came at me personally. Another person from the community slap them twice. We're not here to pick on each other. We're here to learn from each other. We're here to disagree with each other. We're here to agree with each other. But what we are not here for is bullying. That is not a thing. That is not a thing. Not here. This community is not having it. So every time I turn around and I see somebody from the community stand up, no, sorry, son, not here. You will not do that here. There is too much for us to learn, and there are too many things out there working against us. We do not need to be working against each other. So keep it off the line. You don't agree with my point? Attack the point. Let's have a debate about it. You don't agree with her point, his point? Attack the point, not the person. This is a safe space for us to learn. There's a lot of stuff that I still need to learn. And there are a lot of people in the community that know more than I do about those topics. And I hope they continue to teach me. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. Hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes. Go to growmybag.tv, become a member. Membership is cheap. It's only $1 a month. And if you want to join a special group like the Big Baggers, that's only $120 a year. And you get a video conference call and a private feed where you can continue the conversations, all for $120 a year. Imagine. Just saying. You get there, you'll see what's missing. Ads all over the place. It's not to say that we're not going to have ads, but we're not going to have ads all over the place. This is a community-backed platform. We need your assistance. And you get a lot from it. Anyway, everybody, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. Me and my team will work for that every day. Everybody have a good one. I'll see you tonight on Friday Flips at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have a good one. Bye-bye.